cold. I've really missed my recording studio. Good morning, everybody. It is day four. Yesterday was a rough day for me. I was really struggling pretty much the whole day with this just sense of blah. And today, well, when I was in bed, just kind of laying there, I felt the same way. I felt just kind of, I don't even really know how to explain it. But after I got out of bed, focused on God a little bit before doing this, I'm feeling better. I won't say that I'm 100% yet, but I'm doing better than yesterday, which is good. So if you thought about me and prayed for me, I really appreciate that. If you're following along with what I'm doing, today we're going to be reading Genesis chapter 7 and 8, which is about the flood. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to forget today to turn off my phone. Made that mistake yesterday. Alright, my phone's turned off. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Don't believe so. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. Okay, chapter 7 and 8. Now, yesterday I had a question in chapter 6 where God was talking and said, "Yet his days shall be 120 years." And I wanted to know if he's saying that no one after Noah would live more than 120 years old, or if, like my study Bible says, they had 120 years to kind of get right with God. And then I looked at the ages of Noah, and in chapter 5 and verse 32, which is the last verse, we see that Noah is at least 500 years old. And then in chapter 7, we see that he is 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. So that math doesn't really line up to what the study Bible said, so I don't know if that is really accurate or if I'm missing something. I'm not quite sure. Something I noticed that I guess I never really thought about before is normally when we talk about the story of the ark and the animals coming in, how they come in 2 by 2, right? And all the pictures we see and the little models we have one pair of like each animal. But here we see in verse 2 that he's supposed to take 7 of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 of animals that are unclean, male and female, and 7 each of birds of the air, male and female. So the only ones that really seem to be coming in pairs are the unclean animals. And the clean animals, there's supposed to be 7 pairs of them, if I'm understanding that correctly, which I find interesting. And now kind of thinking about it, maybe all the pictures that I've seen at least showed the unclean animals, and maybe that's why there was only 2 of each. I don't know. It's not something that I actually think I knew before about the clean and unclean. So then we see in verse 9 that 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth. Now, were they just sitting in the ark for 7 days waiting for the floods to come, like all the animals and Noah and his family? Or did it take 7 days to get all the animals into the ark, plus Noah and his family? Something to think about, I guess. Something else that's really stressed that I notice is this 40 days and 40 nights. And I think a lot of people tend to think that that's how long of a span that it was. And that's not necessarily accurate. 40 days and 40 nights it rained, I would say that's accurate. We see that in verse 12. But then we see in verse 24 that the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. After the 40 days and 40 nights of it raining. And then that's not to take into account how long it took for the waters to subside. And we see it takes about like 3 months, because it says the ark rested in the 7th month, and the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. And this is in verse 4 and 5 of chapter 8. So Noah, his family, the animals, they were all in the ark for a much longer period of time than what I originally thought and believed. So that's a nice reminder, something cool to learn. And then I guess we find out the reason for the extra pairs of clean animals is because Noah offers them as a sacrifice to the Lord, which again, I knew that he offered a sacrifice, but I guess I just didn't think it through as like, yeah, if you offered a sacrifice, then you're only going to have one animal left and they're not going to be able to multiply on the earth. So it kind of makes more logic sense to have multiple pairs if you're going to be sacrificing some of them. I guess that's just something I overlooked. So that's chapters 7 and 8. I found it an interesting read. I definitely learned some new things that I wasn't aware of before, and I will continue to find new things throughout my reading of the Bible. That's one cool thing about the Bible. I mean, there's many cool things about the Bible, but one of them is no matter how many times you read it, you can always find something new to learn. And that's just something that's completely amazing and astounding to me. I hope you guys are doing well. Man, I really thought I had an outro there for a second. If you guys have any ideas, please feel free to let me know, because I don't think I'm the most creative person in the world. So until tomorrow.